This is the Wrestling Replay. I am Cato. Welcome to episode number 12. This episode is all about Hell in a Cell. Now, if you was able to watch it last night, you know that we've seen some amazing things from an incredible superstar last night that he managed to pull off the gruesome injury. But the pay-per-view as a whole, we'll get into that. But if you are a repeat viewer, you already know what to do. If this is your first time watching and viewing the channel, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so anytime we drop a video, you will be the first ones to be notified. Now, before we jump into the pay-per-view, we got mail-in day, we got new pops. I got my new NWO pop. I've been trying to get a Razor Ramon, trying to get my hands on one, so this is the closest thing I was able to get to a Razor Ramon. So we'll sit that right in front of the Young Bucks right now. Sorry, Bucks. And I managed to get my hands on a GameStop exclusive Undertaker. This was my first Undertaker pop, so still collecting. 106, I got a long way to go, but awesome pop. I'll be doing, there we go. I'll be doing a pop giveaway probably the next video, so make sure you're following us at the Wrestling Replay on Instagram. If not, that's the only way to enter the contest, so you got to be following us. But let's go ahead and jump into Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, my thoughts on it, what I liked, what I didn't like. As a whole, first match, the Raw Women's Championship, between Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and Asuka. I was completely wrong. I thought with Asuka taking that pin on Monday night, I thought it was going to actually set up a situation where she was going to somehow defeat Becky Lynch and go home with the Raw Women's Championship. That did not happen, and honestly, it was absolutely what I did not expect, because Bianca Belair once again got the pin on Asuka. Now, with that happening, my thoughts is Naomi and Bianca Belair were supposed to be in this matchup at Hell in a Cell, and Asuka and Bianca Belair was supposed to happen around SummerSlam, possibly before they restart the feud up with Becky Lynch. I wouldn't be surprised if Becky was supposed to win the Royal Rumble, and they jump right back into that feud. So now with these guys having to kind of fast forward a few things, it leads me to believe that maybe Naomi's coming back sometime soon, and they're going to jump her right back into that picture, or they're going to have to get to the Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair returning to that feud sooner than later, since she was not the one that was pinned. She managed to survive the Asuka lock for a while before Bianca Belair could come in there and make the save for her. So Becky Lynch was kept looking strong throughout the matchup. So maybe we're going to get back to Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. It was a good feud, but I think it's too soon. I feel like it's way too soon to be starting that storyline up again already. Next match, we had Bobby Lashley versus Omos and MVP in a handicap match. The match was okay. So far, to me, the best matchup of the night, well, the best matchup so far was a triple threat women's match. And I felt like that happened throughout the whole pay-per-view, all the way until the ending of the match. So to me, it was a lot of matches where I felt like I could have seen these matches on Monday Night Raw if I didn't see these matches already on Monday Night Raw. So Bobby Lashley versus Omos, he managed to win that handicap match, defeating MVP with the hurt lock. He managed to make him tap out. After the match, we did see Cedric Alexander come up to Bobby. They kind of made amends. So I don't know if now Bobby is going to be pushed into the tag team situation with Cedric Alexander. I wouldn't mind seeing that happen, only for the fact that if you're not going to push Bobby to go against Roman Reigns, which he will probably lose anyway, because let's be honest, we're waiting for Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania. He did take a fan's title and hold up the Undisputed Championship and walk around the ring saying, hey, I guess putting the champion on notice. But I kind of feel like with that segment in the back, Cedric Alexander and Bobby Lashley could possibly be heading into a tag team situation, which isn't the worst thing for Bobby. I mean, right now, what else do you got? If you beat Omos and that feud is done with MVP and Omos, where do you go next? If it's not straight to Roman Reigns, which could be the case because Cody has an injury, if it's not to Roman, where else? Why not go ahead and venture off into that tag team pool? They need a lot of tag teams anyway. I mean, the Usos have ran through pretty much everybody. Only tag team I could really see left is the Street Profits, but the Street Profits lately have not been able to get it done, even against the likes of RK Bro, or any other champions for that matter. But they have been in 3-man tag team matchups and stuff like that with the champs, so we could possibly be seeing a match like that sometime at SummerSlam, because we need legit contenders to go against the tag team champions. And right now, the New Day is tied up with Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. So after the Street Profits, I don't know who would be next for the Usos. I assume they would retain their tag team titles. But let's move on to the next match. We have Ezekiel against Kevin Owens. I did get this one right. Thank goodness. Kevin Owens, he defeat Ezekiel, but the thing is, it didn't really give us much answers to anything. It was a fun matchup. It was, cool, but it was no matchup that I wouldn't be able to see on Monday Night Raw. So I feel like this would be the type of match you would place in between two hot matches. But for the fact that it wasn't too much going on, this match just kind of felt like it was slow rolling the pay-per-view. Bobby Lashley match, it was against Omos, wasn't a lot of action. This match wasn't a lot of action. They were fun matches to watch, but it wasn't like it really picked the crowd up or brought the crowd down. It just kept it at a neutral pace. And I felt like the whole pay-per-view kept the crowd at a neutral pace. Next match, we had AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Liv Morgan go against Judgment Day. I did like this matchup. I did not think it was better than a women's match, but I did like this matchup. I did like the fact that Judgment Day went over. I thought we would somehow maybe see a new member, but at the end of the day, I felt like Judgment Day is the right choice to go over. This group is red hot right now. I've been saying for some time now, ever since Edge first came back and he went against Randy Orton and they had that feud, anything that those two touched after that pretty much turned to gold. Look at what's going on with Matt Riddle right now. Matt Riddle was able to stand beside a superstar like Randy Orton, pretty much take the rub, take some of the spotlight from Randy Orton, and just when this tag team is seemed to hit their peak, Randy kind of slides away from action a little bit. Now that leaves Matt Riddle with all this spotlight, leaves him with all this new rub that he got from Randy, leads him to being one of the hottest baby faces right now in the WWE locker room. So just being beside Randy Orton did that for Matt Riddle. I wouldn't be surprised to see Matt Riddle at some point go ahead and go against Roman Reigns one-on-one, especially to kind of revenge what happened to Randy Orton after they had the tag team matchup. I mean, they had the crowd in tears, so you can't say that Matt Riddle isn't over right now. He's clearly over. So if we're looking for baby faces to go against Roman Reigns, I think Bobby will end up in the tag team. That leaves somebody like Matt Riddle. Cody's hurt. I mean, it's the perfect opportunity for someone to be able to take advantage of that situation. Now, I say that to say we got someone like Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Damian Priest, who I thought was coming into his own as United States champion, now he aligns himself with somebody like Edge, is only going to push Damian Priest to the next level. I don't know exactly where this trio is going, seeing as though Edge and Damian Priest aren't really taking down the tag team division or anything like that. I doubt I would see these guys go against the Usos. I don't see Rhea Ripley going after Bianca Belair yet. I feel like that's something else they want to save. I feel like that's a feud that can go on for years, to be honest. Kind of like Rhea and Charlotte Flair did. They feuded in NXT. It rekindled on Monday Night Raw. I feel like the same thing can happen with Bianca Belair. These two women can feud into maybe the brand split. Well, still a brand split into the draft. One can go to SmackDown. One can stay on Monday Night Raw until they eventually find their way back to each other. I think this feud could go on for a while. So with these two standing beside Edge, I think they're gonna it's just gonna boost their stock inside the locker room. It's gonna boost these guys on the roster, and I think that Damian Priest is gonna get the rub, but I don't know where he would go next unless they're gonna add a new member. That's why I'm thinking they're gonna add a new member, someone that could team up with Damian Priest, someone that matches his style, someone that fits into what Judgment Day is doing, and then these two can actually go head into the tag team division. They can go ahead on the one-on-one division. Right now, that United States Championship to me is wide open. I don't think they have the title on the correct person yet, but you never know. A lot of people who align themselves with Vince McMahon go on to become, heavyweight champions. I mean, just look at everything that happened in the 90s and early 2000s where people aligned themselves with the boss. It always worked out. Even with Seth Rollins when he did it. Always works out. But we also got to see Madcap Moss defeat Happy Corbin in a no-holds-barred match. I was a little bit entertained by this matchup. It was okay. I just seen it so many times already. It's kind of like just played this course out. I do like the fact that it appears to me that Happy Corbin is being written off the SmackDown show for quite some time with him leaving out on the stretcher. I don't see him coming back for at least a month or so. That leaves time for Madcap Moss to make some noise by himself with a whole new competitor, a whole new challenge, possibly a whole new storyline with somebody else. If I know the WWE is going to end up with Happy Corbin coming back right before, a big pay-per-view and they rekindle the feud with Madcap Moss, I really wish that wasn't the case. I want to see what Madcap Moss can do on his own. Now, speaking of that United States champion, I thought Mustafa Ali was going to go over Austin Theory. I was clearly wrong on that as well. Theory retained his title against Mustafa Ali. Not only did he retain it, but he did it by himself. He did it clean. And that was interesting. Mustafa Ali was in his hometown of Chicago. He's been getting beat up week in and week out ever since he returned. He finally got a one-on-one match. He's healthy coming into the matchup. He's not beaten up and battered. So I'm thinking, okay, all these signs to me point to, hey, it's time to put the title on Mustafa Ali. It's like the great comeback story of the babyface. The same thing I thought about Asuka, but I was clearly wrong again. Theory, he goes over Mustafa Ali clean. I don't know what's going to be next for Theory. I don't know if they're going to keep going with this Mustafa Ali thing. He tweeted out something that at the end of the pay-per-view that made it seem like he wasn't too happy with his situation. Think about it. He just came back. He asked for his release months ago. They wrote him off the show for a while. They brought him back only to get right back into these losing ways. So I'm not sure what's next for Ali or Austin Theory, but hey, Theory did retain the championship. I was the one saying we need to keep the title on these guys for an extended period of time. So Theory right now, he defeats the likes of, Finn Balor, defeats the likes of Mustafa Ali. He's pretty much defeating everyone who you put in front of him. Can't be mad at that. And for the fact that he's doing it on his own and no help, no type of stable or anything like that, hats off. Who knows? Maybe he's going to be the one to bring that prestige to that title right now that I thought was needed. So that Theory Mustafa Ali match was actually pretty good. I think that was a good matchup to have right before the championship match. It picked up the action. I think it picked up the crowd a little bit. It brought energy back into the arena, maybe because Mustafa was at home, and maybe because, the crowd was really behind Ali and they wanted him to win this matchup. That's what I'm thinking. So it was smart to put that matchup right there. It was smart to have that women's triple threat match in the beginning. It kind of set the pace and set the tone of the show. Even though I think a lot of the matches in between, not anything that I thought would be on, pay-per-view quality, but they weren't bad matches by any means. But when I see Hell in a Cell, especially the last few Hell in a Cells where we was getting, 2 or 3 Hell in a Cell matches on pay-per-view, this one, you just got one. And I felt like, maybe that brought down what I was expecting from the pay-per-view, which I think the pay-per-view was just, okay. But let's get into the main event. We had Cody Rhodes against Seth Rollins for the third time. This time in the Hell in a Cell. This time, you feel like the feud has to be over, right? So on Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins and Cody got into a hell of a brawl. I assume this is where Cody got his injury from. He has a torn pec on his right side, and it was a combination of that brawl and I believe him weightlifting that ended up turning his pec. But he comes into this matchup, torn pec. From the beginning of the match, soon as Cody entered his cell, it was, when I talk about storytelling inside the ring, just watch this matchup. Just watch this match. I think they could have told a little bit better story, but I'll get into that part. But for the most part, this was great storytelling inside of the ring from start to finish. Seth Rollins comes out taunting Dusty Rhodes in the old Dusty Rhodes gear. Cody Rhodes comes out. He has his torn pec. You know he has an injury. You know everyone's waiting to see, exactly what it is. This is one of those things where someone says I'm hurt going into the matchup, and you watch them perform, they look okay. When Cody gets into the ring and he slowly starts to take off his jacket, and you see the big bruise on his chest, you see the bruises going down his arm, you could just see the life being sucked out of the crowd. Like, yo, what is going on right now? He has a legit injury. It reminds me of when John Cena had that big tennis ball on his elbow, right? And he wrestled through it. I mean, I don't know how. I think this is probably worse because the pain that Cody had to go through in this whole matchup, just the mental fortitude of knowing I'm coming into this matchup with legit pain shooting down my chest before the bell even rings, and I have to go through what was the longest match on the pay-per-view to close out the show. I'm pretty sure it took some convincing on Cody's part to let him even go out there. I'm pretty sure WWE officials and doctors probably thought it wasn't the best. But if you think about it, if he goes out there and he begs to be out there and his performance is lackluster, you can always tell a ref to throw up the X in the match early if it just looks too bad. Cody went out there with Seth Rollins and they tore the house down in Chicago. These two had a match where I thought Cody or Steph was going to kind of stay away from the injury. He wasn't going to touch it too much. No, these guys went full Hell in a Cell mode. The only thing I feel like Seth Rollins could have did in this matchup to help with the storytelling is attack that area a little bit more. Nothing crazy, but something simple. Maybe a kick right to that chest muscle, and let Cody sell that. Let the crowd really see the baby face in trouble, really fighting through this pain, and just let him sell it for about 20 to 30 seconds as you pander and you taunt to the crowd while he's just on the ground rolling and writhing in pain. I think that would have been the only thing they could have added to this matchup, storytelling wise. But other than that, this matchup was absolutely amazing. Seth Rollins, that's another guy we have to give a shout out to. Everyone is commending Cody for going in there with a torn pec and fighting through all that pain, especially a match like Hell in a Cell. But for Seth Rollins to go in there with Cody, he has to be a hell of a worker to go in there with Cody, for Cody to trust him and to pretty much give his body to Seth Rollins and say, don't hurt me any more than I already am. Seth Rollins did a great job inside that cell, just working and selling his ass off as well for Cody Rhodes. They made this pay-per-view. So if this is the end of the feud, which it should be, I mean, Cody has defeated Seth Rollins 3 times in a row now. If this is the end of their feud, they ended on the highest of highs. I couldn't ask for anything more from these two guys. They absolutely tore it down. Now, my thing is with Cody defeating Seth Rollins 3 times, I seen people say that, hey, Cody shouldn't even been in that matchup. They should have let him take the night off. They should have scrapped the match. But I go back to the point of, if Cody says I'm good, I can do it. I can take the pain. Trust me, it's always the option to go into the ref earpiece and say throw up the X. Now, for Seth Rollins, I think these 3 losses, they don't do anything to Seth Rollins. They don't hurt Seth Rollins at all. Him taking these losses to the likes of someone like Cody Rhodes, who they seem to be pushing to the moon right now, is no different than losing to the champ. It's not like I'm losing to someone less than or inferior to me or someone that's close to my level. The way that they're pointing Cody Rhodes out right now, the way the carpet has been rolled out for him, they're painting him as if he is already a champion. They're painting him as if he's someone that is already at the top. He just doesn't have the gold yet. Now, that's going to be interesting now with his injury, which can last anywhere between 6 months to a year. That would put him right in the area of Royal Rumble. My only issue with that is if we're getting The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, I expect for The Rock to win the Royal Rumble, go on to WrestleMania, do whatever they're going to do with Roman Reigns, and that be that. I think that Cody was going to win the Money in the Bank and possibly cash in the same night, making it either a triple threat or coming out after the matchup and, taking the title that way. That would have made for a great storyline for the fact that you were only able to beat the champ when he was worn down. So, of course, We're going to get a whole nother feud that's going to last a few months of now you have to beat me one-on-one, Cody. You can't come out and cash in. That's scrap. Cody will not be the Money in the Bank winner. So who's going to now win the Money in the Bank? That's a big issue. Because now that's the one who's going to have a target on that champion back for, up until WrestleMania, maybe a year. Who knows how long they're going to hold the briefcase. If it's going to be a situation where they let Seth Rollins win the Money in the Bank, Cody comes back and says, hey, you never beat me. You were never able to get the win over me. I'll give you a rematch if you put the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line. And that's the way they get the Money in the Bank back into Cody's hands. I could see something like that happening, and Cody can either cash in at the end of WrestleMania, cash in during WrestleMania, or cash in, or pretty much just come out after the match with The Rock and Roman, whoever the champion is, and just say, hey, I will be cashing this briefcase in at the next pay-per-view. I'm going to be your next challenger, which I could see someone like Cody doing. He's a super babyface, but I don't know. This injury kind of throws a lot of the writing for the loop. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that Money in the Bank now. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to come back for WrestleMania. What if he's not able to come back in time? What if he's not 100% or 80% by the time Royal Rumble comes around? Will they just have him roll out there, entry number 30, take little damage and, clean house and go ahead and go over? The crowd is going to absolutely pop if Cody Rhodes comes out at Royal Rumble. If I was WWE, I would book the Royal Rumble. If I knew Cody was on pace to come back, I would book the Royal Rumble in Chicago again. Because that's the last place that they seen him. That's the last place that he wrestled with that torn pec. That the crowd will absolutely go crazy, tear the roof off the place if he comes out as entry number 30 in that Royal Rumble. That crowd is going to remember that performance that he put on against Seth Rollins. Him digging deep, him showing the courage and willpower that it took to finish that matchup, and not only finish, but to go on to win that matchup. Now, I guarantee on Monday Night Raw, we're going to get a great heartfelt speech from Cody, letting the crowd know I'm going to be out for a while. But Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, I think was an okay pay-per-view, especially for it being Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell, I expect a lot more action, and maybe I've been spoiled over the years with you giving me 2 and 3 Hell in a Cell matches, like I said. But this pay-per-view, it was okay. I like the triple threat match with the Women's Championship. I like the United States Championship match, and I like the Cody Rhodes matchup. I think that was the matchup of the night, clearly. Even without the pec, that was an amazing matchup. I still think that was the matchup of the night regardless. But that's about everything that took place on Hell in a Cell. My predictions didn't really pan out as well. I got some right, got some wrong. Hey, you win some, you lose some. But let me know what you guys think about Hell in a Cell. Let me know if you think Cody should have competed. And this is the end of the Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes feud. I can possibly see a situation where, hey, they say, you know what? Let's like I said, let Steph win the Money in the Bank, and we let Cody come out, and Steph want revenge so bad that he gives Cody a rematch after he has the briefcase, and that's how he loses his briefcase. That's what I can see happening. But that about does it for me. This was just Hell in a Cell. That's all we wanted to talk about. Hell in a Cell. Cody Rhodes was clearly the standout of the night. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery. Get back to us as soon as you can. That about does it for me. Hell in a Cell 2022. I'm Cato. I'm signing out. Peace.